What's up, Soul Sisters? I welcome you to another episode of Turn Up the Love Live featuring my little Chihuahua baby there in the background. Hopefully she's quiet. I just didn't want to move her because she's sleeping so peacefully. So I'm doing this live in the Turn Up the Love Insiders Facebook group today because I wanted it to be a really private conversation around the topic that I'm going to be bringing up today, which is my experience with body dysmorphia. The title is showing up so incredibly small today, and I apologize for that. I wonder if I can make it bigger. I don't know that I can. Is it showing up really small? It seems really small. Oh, it's a little bit bigger there. Let's see if I can make it even bigger. Big as I can. There we go. It's a little bit bigger. Okay, perfect. That helps a little bit. So I'm going to be sharing my personal experience with body dysmorphia. It's going to be very vulnerable, very personal, and raw, as I shared. And it's something that I never really thought that I would be okay with sharing out loud. But I've been doing a lot of inner work lately, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It's something that I'm always doing because, as a coach and as someone who shows up for other women, I believe it's important that I continue to educate myself and make sure I'm taking care of me so that way I can better serve and stand up for those that I hold space for. So with all this healing and with all that I've been kind of doing in the last little while, I thought that this would be the perfect place to share this story. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to share it, or why I am sharing it, and why I think it is so important. So if you are watching the replay of this, chances are you're either watching it in the Turn Up the Love Insiders private Facebook group, or you're catching it on my website at turnupthelove.ca. And if you are wanting to get into more personal conversations such as this one, I welcome you to come and join the sisterhood that I've created there for women who are looking to ditch diets, reconnect with food, and come home to their bodies. If you are new to hanging out with me, I'm Sarah Pettis. I'm a body positive intuitive eating coach and the founder of turnupthelove.ca. And what I really do is I help serial dieters to stop negative self-critical talking to themselves, obsessive calorie tracking, feeling guilty around food, and exercising for punishment, and really teach them how to trust food and their bodies again. This is very, very, very important work. And today I'm sharing my experience with body dysmorphia. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry, I'm going to get into that also. I'm also going to be sharing common signs and symptoms that you should look out for when it comes to body dysmorphia, my personal experience, my behaviors, how I was feeling, and when I realized that, hey, this is something bigger than I ever thought it was. Because most of the time when we're struggling with something, we don't often really see what's going on until we sort of take an outside look or a look in on really what's happening. But most of the time when we're caught up in the mud of it, we don't even realize how destructive our behaviors are, or that we might be dealing with some severe depression or some type of mental cognitive disconnect, right? So this is why I thought it would be really important to bring this topic up today. And I also am going to share, obviously, how I was able to break this pattern and work through it, because that's the most important part of all, is if you are experiencing anything that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I want you to know that you absolutely can break free from this and work through it as long as you get the support that you absolutely deserve. Okay. And I also want to end by chatting about what body dysmorphia actually has to do with disconnected eating. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. Again, if you are watching the replay, please feel free to jump into the live conversation, or the recorded conversation, I guess I should say, and feel free to leave me any feedbacks, comments, messages, anything at all if this resonates with you, because I'd be happy to support you and to weigh in and just be there for you, because when I was going through this, I definitely didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anyone that I felt was going through this, because no one really talked about it. It wasn't really a thing. So I thought that this would be a really important conversation to have should you be experiencing anything that I'm going to be sharing today. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by asking, have you at some point or another, obsessively looked at yourself in the mirror and just completely picked and probed and pointed out parts of yourself that you just could not stand to look at? And I'm talking like, not just like, oh, I don't really like this about me. I'm talking to the point where it consumed you so much that you literally could not think of anything else. It was constantly on your mind. Like it consumed you completely. It almost became an obsession. And by obsession, I mean like it really stopped you from living your life. Like it got in the way of you living your life. So you would, avoid your friends because something was going on. Like I'm going to get into my specific details, or maybe you broke out, or, you were dealing with a scar, or, your nose was crooked, so you just didn't want people to see you, or just something about yourself, or maybe it was your physical weight, your entire body, that you could not bear to have people looking at and focusing on. Maybe it affected your schoolwork. Maybe while you were sitting in class, all you could think about is, oh my God, are people seeing me? Are people seeing me? Like, are they noticing? Are they noticing these flaws that you've really narrowed in on? Your work, anything, right? So have you experienced every single day, looking in the mirror and just probing and picking apart these parts of yourself, and then allowing that to affect your life? If you want to hit me up in the comments with a yes or a no, please let me know, because I would love to know where you're at with this. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of share, because I asked this question because up until about, I want to say 3 years ago or so, 2 to 3 years ago, this was actually my daily reality. Okay. So day in and day out, I dealt with this. Okay. So from the time that I was probably about in the 5th grade, which is very young, by the way, I think that's about maybe 11 years old, about 11 years old, maybe 10, 5th grade, right up until the time I was about 25 years old. Okay. 25. So we're talking like 15 years I was likely dealing with this. Would I wake up every single morning, and the first thing that I did was look in the mirror. First thing I did was look in the mirror. I had this, I always had a mirror in my bedroom, probably because I always needed to see what I looked like, and I became obsessed with how I looked and trying to hide how I was looking. So every single morning I would go to that mirror and I would just look into that mirror, and I would just start to pick apart the reflection I saw staring back at me. So it would look like something like this. Oh my God, the chickenpox scars on your forehead, they're disgusting. They look like craters from a planet on your face. Like you just have so many scars on your face. You look like you were in a fatal car accident. Everyone's going to ask you like, what in the heck happened to you? I always thought that my face looked imbalanced. I remember looking in the mirror and literally going like, this is my face, and would like look at one side and then look at the other and be like, oh my God, this side's normal and this side looks disabled. Like I would literally think that, but like this side of my face is normal, this side of my face looks disabled. Maybe I was born and something went wrong. Like these are the things I would think the first thing when I would wake up. And if it wasn't anything on my face, then it was my body, my belly, my arms, my legs, every single body part on my body. I would just think that I looked huge in the mirror. Like how I saw myself in the mirror was this ginormous body that was not like, now looking back, I'm just like, what on earth was I seeing? Because it was just a body, right? It was just a body. But I saw it as this ginormous, large-sized body that was morbidly obese, and I was not comfortable going out in public like that. So my perception of how I was seeing myself was so skewed as to what the actual reality was. Okay. And I'm talking, you guys, to the point that I could not even dare to go out in public, or not even public. I couldn't even dare to leave my bedroom and go out into the living room or the kitchen or walk past my family, or my roommates, or my boyfriend, whoever I was around at the time in the span of like 15 years. I would not leave my room until I had put on a full face of makeup. A full face. And I'm talking like layers of makeup. And even in the 5th grade, okay? Even in the 5th grade would I do this. And I would use like layers of cover-up. I would use blush. I would use bronzer. I would use highlighter. I would use eyeshadow, eyeliner, lipstick. I would not go out anywhere, leave my room without a full face of makeup, even at the young age in the 5th grade. Okay? And I'm not saying that makeup is bad by any means. I mean, I'm wearing makeup right now. I love makeup. I think it's a beautiful art, and you can express yourself in that way. But I got to this point where it was literally like I couldn't allow anyone to see me without a full face of makeup, because I was afraid that they would see these perceived flaws that I was seeing myself. And I was so terrified of people seeing the real me. Okay, so like, guys, like this is a daily struggle. But not only did it start in the morning, it continued throughout the day. Okay, throughout the day, I would be thinking about this, like, has my makeup worn off? Do I need to go reapply? Like, I'd be opening my compact mirror that I would put in my purse and be like, oh my God, like, I need to go to the bathroom right now. And I'd be thinking about that in class, like, while I was in school. And I would just be like, I have to go to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom. And they're like, Sarah, like, you go to the bathroom like 5 times, like, in this one period. And I'm just like, I have to go. And my teachers probably thought that I had, like, a urinary tract infection or something. I don't know. They didn't really ask questions, but thankfully, well, actually one of them did. My English teacher one time gave me a really hard time about it, but I was constantly needing to go to the bathroom to reapply and check up. And I would literally bring like a whole makeup bag to school in my backpack. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I did all of this, and I had no idea what it was. I just thought that this is normal. This is just how I was dealing with things, right? And unfortunately, as I started to get older, it only got worse. The more I had access to studio makeup, Sephora came to Toronto, I would literally take like 2 buses to get downtown Toronto, or take the GO train to go to Sephora so I could get the best studio makeup to hide all of these self-perceived flaws that I was seeing, okay? I even started wearing fake eyelashes, and I would wear these fake eyelashes every single day. Fake eyelashes, okay? To the beach, to water parks, to my appointments with my counselor at the time, like to my grandparents' house, like places that like I definitely did not need to be all dolled up, but I felt that I needed to, because I didn't want people to see me. And when I had the eyelashes on, it took away from my self-perceived flaws of what I thought was my disabled looking face, because like I said, I saw one half that looked normal and the other half that looked different, or my chickenpox scars that I have on my forehead. I had bangs for a very long time that like covered here. And when I got rid of bangs, I just would overly apply the makeup, right? So this just continuously got worse and worse. And when I got caught up in the game of dieting and losing weight, that's when it took like a whole other turn for the worst. And no matter how much weight I had lost, like I was losing tons and tons and tons of weight, and I don't use numbers because I know that can be a real trigger for some who are dealing with eating disorders, disordered eating. So I'm not going to mention any numbers, but when I had lost a ton of weight, no matter how much I had lost or I was losing, I continued to see the same bigger body version of myself. It was almost like the person I was seeing in the mirror was skewed from what the actual reality was. Okay? So this became a severe illness. And major depression, right? Guys, this consumed probably like 80% of my life. Like it was just constant, okay? And it was always tearing myself down in front of my friends, in front of my family, all the time. And most of the time, like no one actually had any idea what I was talking about. You know, I would mention these deformed parts of myself. If you think about the movie Mean Girls, where they're all kind of standing in front of the mirror, that was me all the time with my friends, constantly tearing myself down, and looking for them to just be like, yeah, like, you know, like, how do you deal with that? Like, I just wanted them to like see what I was seeing, but every single time I would like pick apart these parts of myself, they were like, what are you talking about? Like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. And I just felt like I was crazy. I was like, how do you not see this? How do you not see this? Like, it's right there. Like, you guys are just lying to me. And then I wasn't trusting anyone because I thought that everyone was just trying to tell me what I wanted to hear. So you can see how like this back and forth, just like, in my mind, it went wild. It went absolutely wild. And a very specific memory that I have is I remember going to a cosmetic plastic surgery clinic with a best friend of mine, downtown Toronto, and I think it was about 15 or 16 years old. Her aunt was visiting from Europe, and her aunt had scheduled an appointment, and she was there because her aunt didn't speak fluent English, so she was there to sort of translate for her, and I was just with her hanging out for the day, so I went downtown with her. And this was by far probably the worst thing I could have done or been in a situation of at that age, because I remember I had left that appointment, like when I came with her aunt and my friend, with like hundreds of brochures of all of these enhancements and changes I could make to my body. So I'm talking microdermabrasion for my chickenpox scars, a nose job to help me with the two different sides of my face, fillers, like lip fillers, I have a boob job done. Like I had all this information. I was asking the staff like, oh, like what could I do with this? And oh, how could I change this? And oh, like, and they just gave me all these pamphlets, and I remember going to my mom and just being like, Mom, I know you don't see any of these things that I'm seeing. However, like I really need this because like I'm dying inside and I can't stop thinking about this. And it like, I have to change. Like I can't keep living like this. Like I can't stand how I look. Like I hate this. I hate myself. I hate my body. I hate how I look. And my mom, like I remember her just like tears flowing to her face and being like, you're beautiful. Like you don't need to change anything. Like, no, like I'm not signing off for this because I was under the age of 18 and I needed consent. And she was like, absolutely not. Like, no. And then, of course, you know, we got into a big fight. She must have been mortified. I mean, now that I'm older, if I had a daughter and that daughter came to me saying those things to me, like, oh my God, that would just break my heart. It would just break my heart. So this had continued to go on, like I said, for years and years and years. And it was continuous. And you guys, honestly, I went to therapists for most of my teenage life because I did deal with depression and anxiety. And never once did any of these therapists or counselors, never once did they ever address this behavior. Never once was it ever talked about. And I don't ever want to self-diagnose, but it's very clear to me now, being in the space that I'm in now and the work that I do now with women. It's very clear what I was experiencing. And the moment that I realized this problem that I was having was when I could not even be around roommates, friends, family, boyfriend without literally going, like I couldn't even go from my bedroom to the washroom without doing a full face of makeup. And looking back on that, when I started to read about eating disorders and women who struggle with insecurity and women who, are going through this body dysmorphia, I started learning and reading about it because it kind of ties in a little bit. It's not an eating disorder. It's classified as its very own thing, which I'll mention in a second. However, there is some talk about body dysmorphia through a lot of the studies and a lot of the research I've been doing around disordered eating. And this topic kind of came up and I was like reading about it and I'm like, oh my goodness, how was this never brought up in any of the counseling sessions I had been going to when I was in high school or when I was younger? So it's really interesting that they never brought it up at all. So I share this with you guys again because if you are feeling or you're experiencing any of these things that I just shared, I want you to know that you're absolutely not alone. And I want you to know that you're absolutely not crazy for doing these types of acts or for seeing yourself in this way. I've completely been in your shoes and I know how hard it can be to literally see this version of yourself and no one else can see it. No one else can see it at all. And I know how painful it can be to have this type of obsession where it's literally getting in the way of your day-to-day life. And I really wanted to shine a light on this because I really want to spread awareness. I don't think that this is something that enough people talk about. And it's extremely important because I don't want you to feel as alone as I did, because I could have cut this time frame of how long I was doing this for in half, or like altogether, if I would have known what it was, or anyone that I was surrounded with would have known what it was, including the professionals that I was working with at the time when I was going to counseling. So if anything that I've shared so far is resonating with you, let me know in the comments on a scale of 1 to 10 if you've ever experienced anything like this, as far as like this perceived notion of what you're seeing. Scale 1 to 10, 10 being I wholeheartedly hear and see what you're saying, and 1 being no, that's terrible, but I've never experienced it. And I so hope that most of you are 1s and that I'm the odd case here. However, I have a very strong feeling that if you are anything like me, that and you have dealt with negative body image and disconnection from food or any of this, that you've probably dealt with this, probably not in such an extreme case as mine, maybe in smaller cases, but you have dealt with this at some point or another. Okay, and if you are here live with me, please let me know, because I can't see who's actually here live unless you jump in on the comment section. So something I also wanted to ask you guys, have you guys actually ever even heard of the term body dysmorphia before? Because I had never heard of it until I started, like I said, exploring the topic of disordered eating and started to really dive into body image and what constitutes as positive body image. And I really started reading about this stuff and researching and really putting all of my time and effort into this information. I had never heard of the term body dysmorphia before. So I was curious if you guys had ever heard of it. And if so, if you have heard of it, how would you personally describe it? So feel free to jump in the comments and let me know what you perceive as being body dysmorphia. So body dysmorphia or body dysmorphic disorder is what it can also be classified as. BDD, you may also hear it as body dysmorphia. This is basically a mental health condition. It's a mental health condition that affects a person's body image. That's pretty much what it is. And this condition is literally so severe that it affects your life, it affects your well-being, and it affects your ability to function. Like I said, it was affecting my studies, it was affecting my friendships, it was affecting my relationship with my family, it was affecting my personal relationships, my intimate relationships. It was affecting everything in my life because I thought that everyone was a bunch of liars and I couldn't trust anybody because I was seeing things that they weren't seeing, and I just wanted to change everything about myself, and no one knew what in the heck I was talking about, and all I could literally think about was how I was looking, and if I needed to hide something more about myself. So a person with BDD, body dysmorphic disorder, they're usually concerned about any part of their body, okay? But there are a lot of common areas that you may want to look out for, whether it's you or someone you might know or care about. Some things to really look out for is skin. Skin is a really big one. Hair, I was always the girl that was brushing my hair, always moving my hair around, making sure it looked perfect. I was always obsessed with how my hair looked. I carried a big thing of hairspray in my backpack, like I said, a full thing of makeup. Nose, I always thought I had a pig nose. That's how I perceived it. Always wanted to get a nose job, needed to change it. It could be your mouth, lips. It could be chin. It could be a big one is your breasts. It's a really big one I find that a lot of women struggle with. Or it could even be like your genitalia, your sexual genitalia. Males really struggle with this one, with the size, right? The sizing of their genitalia. So those are some big ones to look out for, but really it could be any part of your body that I'm talking about here, any part at all, okay? And either way, people with BDD, they frequently attach like this very strong personal meaning, to their beliefs about their appearance. So for example, when I want to say 16 years old, I would just like cry to my mom and tell her that I couldn't get a boyfriend because one of my boobs is bigger than the other. Like, literally. I was like, Mom, no one will date me because one of my boobs is bigger than the other. And I've had guys tell me that they're uncomfortable because of how my breasts look. And my mom was like, what? Like, why would a guy ever say that to you? Like, what are you talking about? And I used to wear padded bras, so I would hide it really well. But it is common. Like, some women do have one breast that's bigger than the other. And I was this case. And of course, dealing with the BDD, or going through this experience, I obviously saw it as being something much bigger than it was. So I attached this very like strong meaning that like I was unlovable because one of my breasts was bigger than the other. And I obsessed over it all the time. And I remember like going to see my medical doctor, my MD, and being like, this is affecting my life. Like, I need to get breast implants because of this. And I was actually approved. That OHIP would cover me to get breast implants under OHIP because I live in Canada, because it was affecting my mental health. And even still then, you guys, when I went to my doctor with this, did she, diagnose me as having BDD? No. Was it ever talked about? No. Did she, suggest that I go see a therapist regarding this issue? No. It was completely overlooked. She was like, okay, we'll send a referral and you'll be good to go. And thankfully, I ended up changing my mind at the last second. And I think this is when I started to get a little bit better. And, well, not better, not quite. I was going through the health regime at that time. So I was changing my body. I was working out a lot. I was eating really healthy. I was doing all these things. And my boobs had kind of even out because I had lost so much weight. So that was a whole other issue that was going on. But at the last second, I decided not to go through and get the breast implants, which I'm so grateful that I did. And if you do have breast implants, that's fine. But you guys can probably see from me sharing this that like this was more than, just wanting to get breast implants. This was an obsession, and I had linked it to something. So that's something to really pay attention to if you or someone you know is struggling with BDD, is definitely pay attention to the personal meaning, the strong message that you or someone you know really puts behind their physical appearance, okay? So again, even though I was never diagnosed with BDD, this criteria of everything that I had gone through was definitely apparent that I was struggling with something here. And I'm shocked that I was never suggested to go speak to someone. And again, that's why I definitely wanted to chat with you guys about this, okay? And in order to be diagnosed, you would definitely want to start seeking medical advice, support. If you think that if you are struggling with this, definitely get the support you deserve. Go speak to multiple people about it, but don't keep quiet, because it is something that you can absolutely get support with, okay? Definitely get support with. Okay, so what does this body dysmorphia even have to do with disordered eating? And why am I even bringing it up to you guys, considering that I mostly talk about food, feeling disconnected with food, and body image? Well, obviously this falls into, the category of body image. But before I get into that, if you are watching, I just want to know, are you guys following me so far? And is all of this making sense? Am I delivering this in a way that it's making sense to you guys? I hope so. So basically what body dysmorphia and disordered eating have in common is that people who struggle with disordered eating or eating disorders, they oftentimes also suffer from body dysmorphia. Okay, where it displays, the body dysmorphia, where it displays an overly negative body image or self-esteem. However, body dysmorphia is not to be mistaken as a eating disorder, okay? It is absolutely in its own category. It is, like I said, it has to do with depression, a severe depression, and it is a mental illness for sure, okay? But it is not classified as an eating disorder. Okay. However, most people with eating disorders, they do suffer from body dysmorphia. Most of the times, okay? And it's definitely not uncommon for a person with an eating disorder, such as, bulimia, anorexia, or binge eating disorder, to obsess over their physical appearance and engage in like extreme dieting, extreme exercise behaviors, and really compare their physical appearance with others. It's not uncommon at all for this to happen, and usually that's where it can turn into BDD. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, again, for just some self-awareness, okay? So now that I've kind of shined a light on, my experience, what I went through, how awful it really was for me in my day-to-day life, how I was really feeling, what I was experiencing, how it was really affecting my relationships and those around me, I want to let you guys know how I was actually able to break the state, okay? How I was able to break free from this. So before I do that, if you are watching the replay, let me know who here has ever felt highly influenced by their peers, or anyone who's been around them when it comes to body image. And do you have current friends who are constantly discussing that they want to change something about their body, so much so that it becomes an obsession? Let me know in the comments if this is you and this is what your social friendships are like, okay? So when I was growing up, I was surrounded by women or girls. We weren't women at the time. We were young girls who were constantly talking about changing their body, getting plastic surgery done, or changing themselves in some way or another. Like, to accept yourself and to love yourself and your body was unheard heard of. Like it was a trend to break yourself down and talk crap about yourself and your body. It was like the cool thing to do. It was so normalized. Mean Girls, again, it's a perfect situation where they're all sitting in Regina George's room. They're all looking in the mirror and picking apart themselves. That's what me and my friends would do. Like, it was the normal thing. It was just so normalized. And it could have been because we used to watch shows like The Hills, Laguna Beach. We were brought up with celebrities like the pop artists like Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears. So sexualization of bodies was just very normal to us. So we were really comparing ourselves with these picture perfect people, right? And I had several friends that were very young that had their boobs done, or they had nose jobs or lip fillers or plastic surgery, like of any kind. This was very common in my social circle, aka why I thought it was so normal for me to just, go banging on my mom's door with a ton of pamphlets about changing my body. My poor mother. And I'm not saying that any of these things are bad. I believe that if it's your body, it's your damn choice, whatever you want to do. I'm all for women, caring for their bodies in whatever way feels good to them. If that feels good to you, that's fine. It's totally your choice. But I want to share this because I can see the impact that it had on me growing up and how it affected me growing up. And I wish I would have known that this was something bigger than me. And I wish I would have known that there was support out there that I could have received, so I didn't have to battle with this obsession every single day and allow it to affect my life. So how did I break this state? How did I get out of this? When I moved to Australia, every single thing changed for me. Everything changed when I moved to Australia. Everything changed. Australia is what helped me to heal my relationship with food and my body. Australia is what helped me to be able to go out in public without wearing makeup. Australia is what helped me to understand that I don't need scales and trackers and tools to tell me if I was good or bad. Australia is what helped me to heal in so many ways. Does that mean that you need to go to travel Australia to feel this way? Absolutely not. But what Australia had that I didn't have in my life, or wasn't even aware that I needed in my life, was to be surrounded by women and peers who loved their bodies. And Australia is an incredible, beautiful culture for this. I remember my forever guy saying, like, the women here are so naturally open and beautiful. Like, women who wouldn't wear bras, women who didn't ever wear makeup, women who were in bigger bodies, smaller bodies, didn't matter, and they just enjoyed themselves on the beach without a fear. It was just a true place of people who really embraced and loved themselves. And I'm sure not everyone there is like that, but the culture shock of this was very real compared to living in Canada or witnessing, my TV idols from the US. So it was very interesting to watch and witness that. And if you have experienced anything like I've shared today, I want to really encourage you to break your own state by really just having a look at the types of people you're surrounding yourself with. So I'm not saying you have to up and leave your country, but just start to pay attention. I really want you to pay attention to the people you're surrounding yourself with on social media, the people you're surrounding yourself with in conversations. Like, what are the conversations that you're having? Are you condoning or allowing conversations where women are saying, like, I want to get this done and this done and this done, I want to change this, I hate this about me, I hate this? Are you participating in conversations like that? What type of environments are you putting yourself in? Right? Are these conversations normalized around you? And what are you guys putting your attention on when you're speaking to one another? Right? I think this is extremely important, And the more that we can create awareness around this, the more that we can denormalize the fact that we really don't need to change anything about ourselves. And if we are seeing ourselves in this manner, and it does get to this point that help is there, and help is absolutely yours for the taking, and you deserve it, right? So bringing awareness to this for our friends and family, or for you yourself. Also, something that I did that really helped me to break the state was doing the CBT approach. And the CBT approach is basically the cognitive behavioral therapy. And that is actually the work that I teach now with the women that I work with. I went through a lot of CBT when I returned home from Australia, and worked with a coach from Vancouver who really taught me how to really take a negative thought or perception that I was having, or that you may be having, and how to really flip it on its head and transform it into a positive affirmation that really stands true to you, that feels true to you. Because affirmations are great, but if you don't believe it, you're not going to feel it. And if you don't feel it, you're not going to think it's true. And therefore, you're not going to use it, and it's not going to help you, right? So the CBT model was fantastic. So if you are struggling with body dysmorphia, I highly encourage you to seek someone who teaches the CBT approach, whether that's me or someone else. But it's extremely important, I think, to really help you to break down these thoughts and beliefs that you're having about yourself. Okay, so I'm going to end there. I think I gave you guys a lot today. I shared my story. I shared common signs that you guys should be looking out for. I shared how I was able to break my state. I shared what this really has to do with disordered eating. So again, I hope that by sharing my story and my personal experience with body dysmorphia, that it really helps you to see that you're not alone. You're not alone in this. And you're not crazy. You're not crazy. And there really is support out there for you. And I really want you to, pay attention to this. And if you think that you might be struggling with this, seek support and seek the help and love that you deserve, because you don't have to live your life like this. Life can be freeing, and life can be joyful, and you can have your mind be consumed on so many other incredible things in this world, and create so much more time and space for yourself to think about things that actually matter, rather than things that you think matter, but they just don't. Okay? But they just don't. So I thank you so much for watching. All month long, I've been talking all about the importance of body positivity, and I've been going live every single Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So feel free to catch up on any of those live conversations that I had. The replays are all on my website, assurantforlove.ca, that you can watch there. And if you are watching the replay of this on assurantforlove.ca or on YouTube, and you want to come and join in on the live conversation inside of the private Facebook group here called the Turn Up the Love Insiders, you can definitely do so by clicking the link below. I've added a link there below of resources that I mentioned in the video, and you can come and join and hang out with us. You just have to fill out a couple of questions. And then once I approve that and just kind of see where you're at on this journey, you'll be welcomed into the space with open arms, and we would love to have you there. Or if you're wanting to take this journey even further, my calendar has recently opened up, and I'm actually taking on private clients again to work with one-on-one and healing their relationship with food and their bodies. And I typically work with women for 90 days, so about 3 months time. And if this sounds like something you'd be interested in, and something that you really want and need in your life, just hit me up in the comments, or send me a private message on Facebook or Instagram or any of my social media channels, and I would be so happy to send you the link to my calendar to set up a meet and greet chat to see if we would be a good fit. But otherwise, I hope that this conversation was empowering. I hope that it gave you some information to really understand what this is in a bigger scale. And my hope is that by sharing my story, I can help you to feel less alone if you are dealing with this, or know someone who is dealing with this, that you can maybe shine a light on what's going on for them. Again, I do not diagnose or prescribe. This is just my experience and what I went through. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, everyone, and I will chat with you guys next time, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening.